Hello and welcome to the Single Society. My name is Jo and this is the podcast series exploring all that is best in singles life. Whether you are somebody who fully embraces being single and you love that, it's a choice that you've made and more power to you if it is, or if you are somebody who is in a phase of being single and you are open to potentially meeting the right partner as and when you may find them. If that is you, then this mini series within the podcast episodes is exploring the behind the scenes of singles nights and specifically the common mistakes that I see people make. Now, this is actually the last in a 7-part series that is exploring that very topic, so common mistakes that get made at singles nights. If you've not heard the others yet, you may want to go and listen afterwards. It is, of course, entirely up to you. They are standalone episodes, so do stick with me for now as this one will make sense all by itself, but I would encourage you to follow or subscribe to this podcast wherever you may be listening to it so you can stay in the loop with future episodes as well. I've been running singles nights for a while now in Manchester and Preston and York, more places coming all the time, and there are definitely themes that I see emerging. Some of the other topics that I've already looked at are the danger of not exchanging details with somebody at singles nights, arriving late, not asking questions. These are all things that have a real impact on your ability to make the most of a singles night. And at the end of the day, if you've decided you would like to meet a potential partner, you're open to doing that, perhaps meeting face to face is your preference. I think it's fair to say everyone's a little bit tired of dating apps these days, then it makes sense that you want to put your best foot forward and really make the most of the event when you are there. So, this is the last in the series of the mistakes that I most commonly see people make. And the theme of today, the focus point, is when people are rude to staff. Now, I know this might seem like a no brainer. I know it might seem incredibly obvious, but I think one of the common ways it happens is because people are nervous at singles nights, which is very human, very natural. And so I think that people can end up being a little bit shorter, sharper, maybe a little bit ruder than they might normally be. But it is something to be mindful of because you have to keep in mind when you go to a singles night, you are observing people essentially. You're keeping an eye out. Who might you find attractive? Who shares your values? Who do you have an interesting conversation with? And of course, they are all doing the exact same thing. So you want to make sure that you are being true to yourself, being your honest self, but yeah, also putting your best foot forward, and that you are being as pleasant and as polite as you are able to be. Being rude to staff is a massive red flag. It's a bit of a cliche almost when it comes to dating, but singles nights are kind of like the pre-dating phase, and it is just as important there. So when it comes to staff at the event, you're going to have myself or another event host who is there to look after you. There'll normally be at least 2 people at the event to take care of you and welcome you into the space. And there will also be the staff in the venue that we're using. Now, we work with local independents, so part of the reason that's so important to me is I want the singles nights to feel fully embedded within the local community. You're getting to know in a local independent place, you're meeting local singles at a similar stage and age of life to yourself. And I know the teams well because I'm working with independents. I'm very careful when I choose the venues for singles nights. It's something that's really important to me, and obviously even more careful when hiring and training the event hosts that I work with. So I am very confident in vouching for each and every one of them. That's not to say that people are infallible. Of course, mistakes can happen. And if you ever have any genuine feedback, then I would absolutely want you to come and give that to me, and I'll make any changes necessary, either on the night if I can, or certainly for the next event. But being rude to staff at the event, whether it's a host, whether it's a member of the wait staff or a security guy on the door, that's not acceptable. Never okay to be rude to people. So you don't want to be, demanding about drinks. You don't want to say that people have to move something for you without giving an explanation. You definitely don't want to be shouting or using any kind of aggressive language. It's so important to keep that in mind. It's incredibly rare that this happens. It's why it's the last of this series. But I have seen it where people will really go out of their way to kind of switch on the charm when it comes to talking to other guests. But then it's almost like they drop character when talking to me, to another event host, to a member of staff, and it does sort of show the real colours. It's just one of those things that, in terms of the power dynamics, there, if you're asserting something in a way that kind of goes beyond the bounds of politeness, that is a signal to a potential partner about what you may be like. So, hopefully, needless to say, this isn't something that is only important for singles nights, but in all walks of life. You know, if you're out on a date as well, if you're out by yourself, you want to treat the people working in the venues with as much respect as you possibly can. It's a little thing, but all these little things add up. And at the end of the day, if you've bought a ticket to go to a singles night, if you've taken out time to go to it, make the most of it. You want to make sure that you really enjoy the event and that hopefully you meet that person that feels like a good potential match for you. So, this is the last one of the series exploring common mistakes that I see. Have a listen to the others if you haven't already, and there's loads of other episodes coming up for you. They're released on Thursdays, so there will always be something new for you to listen to on Thursday, and there will be more of these 7-part series as well, so you'll have more regular episodes to listen to and enjoy. If you haven't already followed or subscribed, now is the moment to do it, and I will catch up with you in the next episode.